Howdy, folks. This is just a little PSA I wanted to kind of put together since things are a little crazy these days. And this won't be too poignant, hopefully, after a little bit of time. But in the interim, just wanted to have a little conversation about, the realities of things that can definitely kill you in times of legitimate scarcity. So, in reality, as far as immediate causes of death, dehydration and a lack of electrolyte intake. So, not enough sodium, potassium, chloride, calcium are macro minerals. You can literally risk dying in as few as literally could be 1 day if you were locked in a sauna, to as many as is the medical literature. This isn't something you'd really test because it's not ethical. Most folks might be able to make it as far as 10 days without water. Now, that's in a situation where you're not sweating much, where you're just really conserving energy, and you're just trying to bide your time. So, turns out having a source of drinkable water and making sure that you have electrolytes is going to be the next big thing. Now, after that, vitamin deficiency and or protein insufficiency is probably going to be the next two things that get you, since it turns out your body is constantly digesting your digestive tract every day, you're losing skin every day, and your immune system has to replenish itself along with your heart keeps need to repair itself along with your diaphragm because it's moving every day. And you have to replenish your red blood cells, all of which have protein demands on the body. And if you're not taking in protein, well, it turns out your body's having to scavenge it from somewhere, and that's going to be from your muscle mass. You do that for a long enough period of time, and turns out you're out of muscle mass, you're out of scavenger protein, and your heart's probably going to quit working. Obviously, that's awful. For your smallest individuals that have a very low amount of lean mass and once again no calories coming in, no protein coming in, they could probably last at least a month. You could maybe see someone that's a bigger, more muscular individual be able to go as far as maybe half a year, depending on how they set things up. And that's saying, once again, they're not getting to eat really or drink anything that has calories in it, but they're at least getting in their water and their macronutrients. Now, same thing with vitamins. Over a long enough period of time, that's where you're going to start to see things like rickets from a lack of vitamin D, scurvy from a lack of vitamin C, pernicious anemia. We're talking about some of the B vitamins and so on and so forth. All of those are going to present and eventually become lethal. It's going to take a longer period of time for most of them. So, same type of situation. You figure you've got at least a solid month you could go without taking any vitamins or minerals, and that's also saying you're not getting skin exposure to the sun for vitamin D production, and it'll probably really get you into troubles after about half a year. Now, as long as you have the protein, the water, the electrolytes, which is part of the macronutrients of the vitamins and minerals, you can probably last yourself however long your general calorie stores hold out. And really, we're talking about fat. Is going to be the major calorie store. You're going to burn through all of your body stored carbohydrate in the form of glucose and glycogen within a couple days. You'll be using ketones. That's another conversation entirely within about a week or two. Depending on how much body fat and body mass you have, an individual that weighs over 300 pounds could literally probably go for potentially an entire year if they spent that year pretty much in a coma and not eating or drinking anything. Those of us that are a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, obviously it's going to scale upwards or downwards. You still figure you got a good month or two, at least. And yeah, I know these are kind of dire, but I then want to bring us to the final bar, which is a lack of toilet paper. Seeing as how that was an invention in the mid 1800s, it turns out humans have lived for a long period of time without toilet paper. So the bar on the right suggests living to see an age of 80 years old, which you could obviously do. People were using things like leaves, obviously not poison ivy, be careful there, folks. Where they were even using shells, which is mildly terrifying to me, or just water and or snow. That has to be invigorating as a means to clean themselves up. So, like anything else, I hope everyone's doing okay. I hope this hopefully brings a little bit of levity to a not quite funny situation we find ourselves in. And another thing to point out is the difference between looking at a logarithmic graph and your typical linear graph. Now, both of these graphs have the exact same inputted data. The key is how it's displaying it. The one on the left shows the logarithmic graph. So we can see if we look at the axis on the left side, it goes from 1 to 10 to 100 to 1,000 to 10,000. Whereas when we look at it in a linear, notice you can see the calories insufficiency just a little bit, and same thing with the protein, the vitamin insufficiency, but the others don't even show. Well, it turns out, same situation, you can live for a long time without toilet paper. So, yeah, I don't want to tell you how to live your life too much, but at least be mindful of things you're hoarding, seeing as how potable water is probably your better source. So if you have concerns about your municipal, that might be something actually worth picking up some of. But the other is just making sure you got minerals. It sucks to go hungry. It sucks to starve, but like anything else, you can handle it for a long period of time. If you're really looking for just kind of your basic, I'm terrified of the world type situation starter set, you just need to have either a water or water filtration system, and then a vitamin mineral, like kind of multivitamin, along with probably just a salt, a whole lot of salt. And that's going to keep you going. You won't be happy, but it turns out that's highly portable as opposed to having to carry a bunch of awkward boxes of toilet paper. But, anyways, thanks for listening. Stay safe out there, guys, and hopefully this was mildly entertaining. Oh, the only thing I didn't highlight before is sleep deprivation. Yeah, it turns out if you go without sleep for, actually there's been documented cases of people going over 50, 60 days due to a brain abnormality, but turns out that'll eventually kill you, plus you make worse decisions. So you can make it 10 days without sleep. I wouldn't suggest it. Pretty bad for you. Plus it also weakens the immune system, which is definitely not something to worry, or not something to do while you currently living through a pandemic. So thanks for listening, guys. Have a great day.